The mountain cried for those it loved and destroyed those who made it weep. When the first tremor hit the valley of Mora, people thought it was thunder. But when the second came, the ground shuddered like a wounded beast. They looked up at the peak of Mount Irumu and saw it glisten. Tears. Actual tears, cascading from its slopes in glimmering rivers. Children screamed as the earth cracked. Elders clutched their charms. The air was thick with salt and sorrow. From the summit, a low, rumbling sob echoed through the clouds, deep, ancient, and unbearably human. By nightfall, the first village was gone. The flood carried voices and drums, songs and memories, until only silence floated on the water. At dawn, one woman still stood, a priestess named Oma, wrapped in drenched crimson cloth. She had heard the mountain's voice before, long ago in dreams. And tonight, it was calling her by name. The Weeping Mountain. Oma's temple sat at the foot of Irumu, carved into the stone like a scar. For generations, her bloodline had served as the mountain's keepers, the ones who soothed its grief when storms gathered. But for 40 years, the mountain had been silent. Now, the cries had returned. The villagers pleaded with Oma to flee. The water already lapped at their thresholds, carrying away goats and baskets of grain. But Oma stood firm. If I run, she whispered, the mountain will cry harder. She climbed the path alone, rain soaking her braids, mud sucking at her ankles. Above her, the peak glowed faintly, as though the sky itself were weeping. Each step felt heavier, gravity bending beneath grief too large for words. When she reached the halfway shrine, she saw offerings scattered, broken gourds, burnt feathers, and a child's bracelet. She touched it and heard a faint sob in the wind. "Why do you mourn, Great One?" she asked aloud. The wind answered, not in words, but in shuddering waves that carried sorrow like a heartbeat. The mountain's voice finally came, low, cracking, filled with old pain. "I mourn because they forget." Oma fell to her knees. "Who did we forget?" "Me." The mountain's tears roared louder, rivers bursting from hidden veins. Oma could barely stay upright as water surged past her. Through the mist, shapes appeared, stone faces, half-formed, embedded in the rock. Ancestors. Forgotten gods. All of them weeping. "Once, they prayed to me," the voice said, rumbling deep beneath the earth. "Now they build their altars to themselves." Oma's own tears mixed with the rain. "Then let me remember you," she whispered. "Let me give you reason to stop. Would you carry my sorrow?" She hesitated. "If it saves them." The ground split beneath her. A torrent rose, sweeping her toward the summit as though the mountain itself was lifting her into its heart. She awoke inside the hollow peak, surrounded by walls of black stone that pulsed faintly with blue veins of light. The air tasted of iron and loss. At the center was a great pool, not of water, but of tears. From it rose a colossal face, ancient and cracked, half human and half earth. Its eyes were molten silver, rivers flowing endlessly down its cheeks. "You wish to soothe me, child?" it asked. Oma stood shaking, her robe torn, her voice barely steady. "Yes." Tell me what must be done. Then sing. Sing what they have forgotten. Her throat burned, but she began to chant the oldest hymn, the Song of Foundation, the melody set to shape the mountains when the world was new. The walls trembled with each note. The waters calmed slightly, but as the song deepened, visions poured into her mind. She saw the first worshippers carving shrines into stone. She saw droughts quenched by tears of mercy. Then she saw betrayal, minds cut into sacred cliffs, God silenced beneath greed, prayers turned to profit. The mountain groaned. Do you see? Oma fell to her knees. I see. We took and called it progress. Then sing not for mercy, the mountain said. Sing for memory. Her voice cracked. The water rose. But she sang still, even as the flood reached her chest, her neck, her mouth. Her final note echoed through the valley, a sound of unbearable grief and beauty. Then all went still. When dawn broke, the rain stopped. The waters began to recede. Villagers emerged from rooftops, clutching soaked relics and broken drums. The mountain was silent once more, but a single streak of light glimmered down its face like a silver tear frozen in place. At the temple's ruins, they found a moss staff planted in the mud. Nobody. Only her necklace, its pendant now made of stone, smooth and warm like a heartbeat. They rebuilt the village higher on the slope and carved new altars facing the mountain, singing the Song of Foundation every morning at sunrise. The mountain still wept sometimes. But now, its tears gave life. Moral: healing begins when we acknowledge the pain we've caused.